Hi there. Welcome to another BioDevils podcast. This is probably going to be the last podcast that I will be a part of for quite some time. Until then, any further podcasts after this one will be handled by the aforementioned hosts that I mentioned on both Twitter and on YouTube. With that being said, my name is BioDevil_Dom. Who is the usual host, and I am joined by a number of different guests, so let me go ahead and introduce them. First off, we got Mr. Arian. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
We kind of did that by saying my name, so nothing left. I'm Arian. Yeah, hi.
Yeah. After that, we got DevilHunterJames.
Well, now you just said my name.
All right.
This is an issue.
All right. Next up, we got Divic.
Welcome to Resident Something. Hey, how's it going?
Alrighty, and last but not least, we got Mr. Brandel.
I exist. I'm tired, and we're talking about this. Let's go.
Alrighty, so I don't think there's any way we could really sugarcoat this, so let's just get into the very first question. What were your overall thoughts on the show?
As Arian put it, it's the most mid thing I've seen for a while, but
Mid?
yeah.
Mid?
Like,
You're implying
yeah.
it's even average.
I would say like it is completely made. It's just the fact that it's Resident Evil and there's a lot of things tied to it though. That's what dragged it down, including the printed dialogue. That shit was just ass.
You know what I
What?
thought about it for a while, Brandon? You know what it is? I feel like they were trying to write another show and didn't get the go-ahead, but they got the go-ahead for Resident Evil, since they were all put all our dumb shit on this. That's what it feels like.
I believe that. Because it has a lot of for what it's worth though, it does have a lot of interesting ideas. Like the premise itself is technically fine. Problem is what characters they use and how they went about it. Like the whole stupid dialogue, like the Zootopia shit, right? Which, granted, it's like the smallest thing you can probably point out though, but that's still an example nonetheless. Like the shit dialogue, shit main characters, or whatever, right? And just some of the weirdest moments in the show, like ultimately dragged it down.
Yeah, like the
However,
weird dance scene towards the end of the show.
Yeah. But the highlights though is definitely Lance Reddick and how he portrayed the characters, because you play more than one character. Spoiler, by the way. And just the general premise of a Wesker something still working for Umbrella, but granted it's also in timeline, so it still exists somehow, and whatnot. So like I thought that is pretty neat, and also some of the old monsters that you didn't see in previous movies, like the fucking Webspinners. But yeah, honestly, it's like the most midest thing ever. Like it's ass, but it also has some good elements to it.
I'm probably going to be an outlier here, just from the general tone of everyone else in the server. But I had such a good fucking time watching this. The first episode was like boring me to tears, and then I got really interested because all the zombie stuff is the most boring thing in the show, just personally.
That's ironic, right?
And then it turned into how like bizarre and how incompetent can the show get. And I don't even mean like I was laughing at it in a mean-spirited way, because the show has this bizarre feeling behind it, and there's only a couple things that really do this, where the people who made it feel like they were really into what they were doing, but didn't realize like how bad it was. And I think majority of the time I was watching this, I was just grinning ear to ear, and I was laughing at most of the from the 6th episode to the 8th episode. I was just laughing almost the entire time. Like I think that I enjoyed this more than the original Resident Evil movies, just because I got way more entertainment out of it. This is like I enjoyed this more than like anything I've watched in the last 3 months. And I know that's a crazy person statement, but like I had so much fun watching this show because it was so incompetent on every single level.
So for you, it's funny bad.
Yeah, the worst thing a show can be, or a piece of media can be, is boring. If it's really good, great. If it's really terrible, then that's great because I can find entertainment in that. If it stayed like it was for majority of the first episode, I would have been very sad and very bored. But luckily, the train goes off the rails immediately and starts crashing through a neighborhood, so I was just like entranced.
So in my case, I just really thought it was bad. I really just tried to give it a fair shake, although I really just didn't want to watch it. And then Brandon talked me into watching it. So thanks, Brandon.
Oh, I didn't talk to you guys anything. I said I was gonna watch it. You guys kept going.
Actually, it's in reverse. Brandon was gonna watch it on his own. We insisted on watching it together because we hate ourselves, obviously, and each other. So we binged it, and now we're here.
Somebody talked me into it because I wasn't gonna watch it originally, but yeah, anyway.
Probably me or Arian.
Yeah, somebody did. Anyway, yeah. So I just thought that I thought the show was just very boring, very bad, and it just really didn't have anything. It didn't really have anything like overall that I could have just came out of that and said that like, okay, well, like, you know, these things were okay. This stuff worked out okay. Like this worked well. Like if they had focused more on that type of deal, like it really wasn't that. Most of it was just very like it was just a very boring like high school drama for half of it, and then it went into like the zombie apocalypse stuff, and it's like, okay, well, like if I could cut out one half of the show, then you know, that possibly could have fixed it, but that still doesn't mean that it would have made it good. Just generally speaking, I don't know, I really just didn't think it was that entertaining. I thought it was just a lot of boring talking dialogue with nothing of real interest or value. And I also really didn't care for the fact that it was like essentially a setup of well, you know, vegans were upset that Umbrella did like animal testing, so they decided to pull it 28 days later. Yeah, it's nothing really like original or anything like stuck out that really justified the making of this show, in my opinion. And I don't know, I really don't see the appeal of this show personally.
Yeah, I'm gonna go next if you're done. Yeah, you're done.
You're done now.
When I was watching it with you guys, and like the most enjoyment came out of just us cringing over it. I'm again, I don't hate it, I don't like it. I'm mid with it. The main problem I had with it was the extreme connection it had to the current like year, like the references they were making to like COVID, Zootopia porn, and they had an Elon Musk reference too. Like those references were like cringy bad. Like I was laughing at them, but I was just laughing at how bad they were. I think that's one of the problems that the show had, and that could be completely personal for me. It's that most of the stuff they had that we actually laughed over was because it was bad. We laughed over it. But to give it some credit, I think we all can agree that episode 3 was a highlight, because the liquor scene was pretty Resident Evil-ish.
Yeah.
Like it felt it was like it had something that belonged in the RE-verse. I mean, obviously it's liquors, but like the scenery is basically what I'm going for. Wesker, I love his actor, so I can't really like say anything about him, but I just wish we saw some more of him. And as for the main protag, there was a lot of coincidental shit that happened that shouldn't have happened, just for the sake of the plot. Like that, they could have done something with that, because like the ship scene, especially where spoilers, where she brings in the zombie and like everything just goes wrong conveniently. That shit was also a kill. Other than that, man, honestly, wouldn't mind a second season just for shits and giggles. Well, that's it for me.
So I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot of that stuff we're gonna talk about later on in the doc too.
Oh, perfect. There you go.
So like you could definitely go more in depth in that for all that stuff later for sure.
In fact, you mentioned one of our next questions.
Yep. Do you want to go? You want to go ahead and
Yeah.
read off number 2?
Okay then. Of the small amount of BOWs that showed up, were there any that you actually liked? If I can lead up, I mean, the spider was cool. It was
Yeah, the web
interpreted
spinner.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, the web spinner was interpreted way better. So that was sad. There was only one of them. I was expecting that scene to have a lot more like shit going on, considering where it was. But
That
yeah,
thing is that thing is more threatening, ironically, than the entirety of its existence in the actual RE canon. You know how hard it is to get killed by that thing in the actual game?
You have to deliberately try
It's
to get
slow.
killed.
It takes like 8 years to turn around and take a swipe or poison you. It's like, bro, this thing is not a threat.
Yeah, all it does is punch you. That's all.
Yeah,
And-
a spider punches me. Oh no!
And-
Don't
and-
bite me or poison me or anything.
And sometimes spit on you.
Meanwhile, in the movie, just fucking, the movie, the show, whatever you want to say, fucking stabbing people. I was like, okay, too bad it doesn't do that in the game. That would actually make it a threat.
Hey, if you play Moss on it, you can have a better spider experience. But other than the spider, I think, and this is biased because I like dinosaurs. I like the crocodile. I'm just sad they didn't do shit for the most part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I liked Family Gator too. That was really good.
Yeah, it had like a heart to heart moment with the girl, bro. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Listen, I was already cackling at that point, and then I was like, "It's not going to attack the girl. It's going to like look at her." And it started to do
And
it
it
as
happened.
it was coming out of my mouth, and I started crying. So I was like, "This," and then they killed it immediately. I'm like, "Oh fuck, Family Gator, goddamn it!"
No,
That's what killed it.
he just learned to feel.
Family Gator got murked immediately. Oh man.
Lickers are pretty good too, as
yeah,
Arian said before. They're like assassins. I was like, okay, I kind of like this premise for them.
Yeah, you only get to see them a tiny bit, and they're pretty creepy. Like, that was actually like, oh, okay, cool. This feels like a Resident Evil thing, kind of, now, for like a second, and then it just turned back into silly territory.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, so I would say like what you said, Arian. Like the spider was probably the best looking one, and I'll even give the show this much credit. It did something that the Resident Evil remakes didn't do, and that is have one of the enemies that were cut out of those remakes, which was, the web spinner. So it was kind of cool to see that. And, I think it's actually very hard for them to fuck up liquors at this point, especially since, like, the Paul W.S. Anderson movies had them as well.
They've been done in like every movie.
Yeah, so I think it's very hard for them to fuck up, to be quite honest.
Don't challenge them. I'm gonna see one of them start talking or some shit.
You know what? I'll challenge them because I want to see them fuck up more, so that way they can stop making movies.
No, I want this to get like 5 seasons, seriously. If it's like this, I want this again.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, aside from that, yeah, it just really wasn't a whole lot because like it was fucking like. Can I just say that like it was really fucking weird how we had Dr. Salvador who went from being a Spaniard to being French for some reason and not controlled by Plagas.
They picked a name out of a hat and they were like, fuck it, just give him this name.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because that actually created a fatal flaw with the show. Remember when the producer or whoever said like all the games, or at least the main ones, important ones, were canon to this universe?
Yeah.
The moment you realize the Umbrella is still around, that should tell you right there, there's a lot of bullshit going on here. Because, as you know, they got murked back in, 2001, 2002, in the continuity.
Well,
Right, and then now you have Salvador, which there's no Los Plagas. So how the hell is Yi around? There's no Plagas around.
So
He's French in the show, right?
yeah, he's a Frenchman now. Instead of being
Salvador
Spanish.
is not a French name, so that also really doesn't help.
The thing with the Plagas is that actually with like through extended lore, it is confirmed that there are still remnants with Vendetta. It's confirmed that there are still remnants of Los Illuminados who still have access to Las Plagas, but it's not as widely available as it was like when we got to like RE5, for example. Post RE5, it's just not as relevant. So
Right,
even
but the Plaga in RE5 and not Vendetta, Damnation or the Wesker strain of
Yeah,
it. So
which that particular strain is just not an issue anymore. But like that being said, if we're taking continuity out of the games, right? Like that is kind of weird that we're saying, oh, okay, well, here's Dr. Salvador. He's also a Frenchman now. Because why not, right? Even though he's from Spain. And then
Fuck it, Jill's a fat dude working for Umbrella because that guy was the master of unlocking. So
apparently, yeah.
he was one of the best characters in the show, man. I wanted him to stay alive.
God, I wanted him throughout the whole series. Jesus Christ.
Like literally, man. Like he was having fun with this. Like he should have stayed alive. He would have been the best buddy cop scenario type character.
Him and Bert are the best characters in the show.
Yes.
You're not allowed to have anything, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, at least we have Bert. Bert's it now. So we're good.
Albert.
Unlimited breadsticks.
At Olive
So
Garden.
they're
Yeah,
limited-
Olive Garden is canon to Resident Evil.
I forgot they fucking said
Olive
that.
Garden, Pornhub, you name it, all that shit. This show
Disneyland.
literally. This show time capsule itself so hard. It's funny.
That's why I always think it's not usually, if you're actually trying to write a good show, don't date yourself. On that, like with pop culture references, it's always kind of a bad idea in my opinion.
Now, I don't agree with that though. It's just how to go about it. Like if it's like his unique show, whatever, that's whatever, you know. But it's based on Resident Evil though. A lot of modern day stuff do not connect with Resident Evil. So by having like Olive Garden, all these other off-brand or on-brand stuff is like will kind of time capsule itself.
Little slight diversion from the conversation. Apparently, they want Lady Demetrius in the show too.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You
Yeah.
know what?
God.
You know what? Let me. How are you gonna pull that off? I kind of want to see that now.
Yeah, she could be short. She'll be flat chest.
Well, hang on. No,
And
she's
she's
short,
gonna be
she'll
German.
Flat chest. She's gonna have a big old fucking weave, and
Big
she's
old
gonna
weave.
use it. Yeah, she's gonna big old weave. She's gonna use it as a weapon. It's gonna be a BOW that she uses as weave. Fucking
Also, he's saying
Mark-
short,
mark
black,
my words.
and
for forever. Whatever producer listens to this podcast by chance and finds that shit, use my idea and just give me credit, please.
Sure.
You're welcome.
Okay. Yeah, so I think we're, before we start getting into like some of this other stuff too, do you want to go ahead and read off number 3, Divic?
Sure thing. What were your
Wait.
impressions? Yep. What?
Does the zombies count as BOWs?
Yes.
Anybody had anything to say about how fucking fast they were?
no, because you know why? Because if it's an important character, they conveniently slow down or don't grab the character.
It's
Uh-huh.
whatever. Fast zombies. Who cares? I mean, it's
I didn't realize it was Left 4 Dead.
I don't mind zombies running though, but the fact that they're based off the T-virus. T-virus zombies aren't fast.
I was gonna say the zombies are pretty slow and stupid. And, like the first Resident Evil, for example, like they're just lumbering morons. I don't know
Yeah,
why all of a sudden they're triathletes.
They're not, unless if they were specifically based on like T-Phobos, they would not have been running that fast, which they're not. The only way they would be able to run that fast is if they were C-virus infected zombies.
What if they were
Which-
Crimson Heads? Does that count?
Crimson Heads are,
Yeah.
are the only time we could count that. But there were no Crimson Heads in the show, but
Yeah.
yet they still had one of the fucking Screechers from RE6, which that's a whole nother thing in on itself too, which is kind of weird. Yeah. So,
I wish they had the Huavo just complete the whole set of stupid stuff. Man of the Bible.
that would have been perfection if they had the,
oh
the
Caterpillar.
gibberish.
I liked Caterpillar a lot.
For like the 5 seconds it was on screen.
I liked 5-second Mega Caterpillar.
Hey guys, who played Resident Evil 3?
Yeah, this show gave me Gravedigger before actual remake Resident Evil 3, so yeah, give it that. Okay, what were your impressions on the 2 female leads, both as teenagers and adults?
Fucking trash, bro. They
Yeah.
suck so much. I don't know. I hate more between the two: Darth Vegan or the girl that pretty much got almost everyone killed.
Darth Vegan, I like that. Holy shit.
Yes. Answer that statement, yes.
God.
I got nothing
Where
to
to
get.
begin? Where to begin with them, honestly?
Can I just point out that the actress that plays the older Darth Vegan, so if we're gonna just call her that by nickname from now on in this podcast, she decides to swap races in the show from looking like she was Hispanic to becoming Asian in the future. So like she looks
let's not forget the other
nothing.
one. Oh, let's not forget the other one. The other one, the younger one, had a darker skin complexion than the older one.
Yeah, I'm so confused because like the actresses don't even look alike, but they were just like, fuck it, just go with it.
Yeah,
Listen,
whatever.
Dom. She burns easily, never tans.
Okay, bro.
All right, Nero.
God. So like I didn't care because it's I don't really blame the actors for any of this stuff character-wise. They're acting like stupid teenagers, which I think I have to
They did
assume
a
the
job.
show is aimed towards dumb teenagers. I have to assume that because
Like
it
Euphoria.
reeks of like CW, like Vampire Diaries, like kind of show running. The one thing I couldn't get over in the first episode with Jade, and it took me a whole episode to place it, is with her hair up and kind of like curls hanging down and all that kind of stuff, and the red jumpsuit, she looks like Michael Jackson in Thriller, just a little bit, like just enough. So she's running around the world testing zombies in a Thriller outfit, which is fucking hysterical. And then I don't even care that they're talking about Zootopia porn and all that kind of shit. That shit's incredibly funny. And I didn't find the line as funny until I went on Twitter and saw how many people were like vomiting that the fact that the line even existed, which made it 1,000 times funnier.
Honestly, I do find the line weird. Just the simple fact that you got a bunch of fucking teenagers saying that shit openly around their fucking parents of all things, bro. I'm like, what's wrong with you kids? Like, goddamn.
Hey man,
Yes.
you never knew. Maybe Wesker was really into Zootopia when that shit came out. Maybe he went and put his plagas down and like hung out and watched Zootopia a little bit and left a browser open. You've never read the Arby's comic, have you?
I'd rather not.
Oh, okay.
Nobody's gonna point out the fact that they're technically 14 in the past segments too when they bring that up.
Yeah,
It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, just so weird.
Kind of fucked up that that's even a line in this show. I'm just saying, just given the context.
To be fair, I did teach for a year at a middle school, and 13 to 15-year-olds do tend to say pretty horrific things that as an adult now, like, oh my god, I never said anything like that, but I was talking about porn with friends when I was like 13, so it's like the same, the shit never goes away. It's like, whatever. So at least they're kind of embracing it, but the problem is they're embracing it way too hard, and they're overplaying their hand. And so it comes off schlocky and hilarious instead of like shocking or anything other than shocking.
It's just weird to like say to your parents. Like, okay,
Around. Yeah, like.
it's just weird.
I mean, one thing it was messing around their friends or themselves, right? No, away from like adult, because like saying that around adult, there's no way in hell that you would not get looked at, snarked at, or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like someone will say something to you.
To the therapist with you.
I just find that shit weird. Granted, yeah, we're kind of like overhamming the line right now because there's a conflict right now, but still, like it was just a weird line. Just throw it out there.
I guess the way to put it is it didn't feel like an organic thing a teenager would just blurt out all of a sudden. I guess. I don't know, that's the only way I could put it.
No, I got a perfect response to that.
As far as the adults, what's Darth Vegan's name?
Billy.
Billy. Yeah. Okay. So adult Billy is hysterically evil for pretty much no reason. She's just like, kind of has to be because the show demands it. And
okay, so the issue was that like they didn't go too far in the past. That's the thing. Like, could have sequel baiting you. They didn't show what led up to her joining Umbrella.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I know, of course. And then the thing is, future Jade is also just like, look, when when Child Jade broke down at the boy that she was crushing on getting killed, and it was like this huge emotional scene, and then you realize she's known him for like a day or like 3 days, and she met him when he was torrenting anime off of Naya. I don't know. Did anyone else laugh at that scene? Because I was I had to pause because my fucking stomach was hurting.
We were laughing at the fact that they subtitled video plays in Japanese.
Okay, yeah, that was really funny.
I was like, why did you subtitle that? Like, you know, like.
Oh,
but
God.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's so. Yeah, it's weird, and then the other thing too that's kind of weird is like, okay, like. You know, the sister Billy gets bit and she's technically infected with the T virus, but then doesn't show signs of zombification, but could still transmit the disease through bites, and
that makes her asymptomatic, so that technically makes sense.
Yeah, which that makes sense, but it's like we're also taking the context of, well, some of the events of the games are canon. So by this logic, shouldn't there also be a cure widely available?
Oh yeah, right. Was there ever a cure for the T-virus? Oh, wait, I'm stupid. Yeah, because freaking
Jill
infected Jill, and then yeah.
So
where's the cure at then? Yeah, certainly they should have had a cure for it, and going based on that, wow.
It's just kind of a weird like plot device that they have, and then like, you know, for whatever reason, like you mentioned, Divic, later in the future, she becomes like evil and decides to join Umbrella for no real rhyme or reason.
Well, and she starts acting like the I can't remember any of these characters' names. Power Suit. She starts acting like Power Suit because Power Suit's not really a thing in the future except for remote control. Which leads to one of the most unintentionally hilarious scenes I've ever seen in my life. Like, the emotional whiplash of the dance number is like... It's like watching a car accident happen in slow motion right in front of you. Like, you have no idea how you can fucking describe it, because she does this goofy dance number, and you're like, okay, I guess that's maybe in character. Maybe she's just a weirdo. And then, oh no, she's just being remote controlled via smart pad. And you're like, what?
Huh?
Like, I didn't even know how, like, my jaw was on the fucking floor. I was like, I don't even know how to react to this. Like, there's no way somebody pitched this and someone went, yeah, let's put it in.
The question is, though, what the hell, how did they get the technology to do this, you know? Because being nice in Apocalypse, though, I imagine Umbrella would do what they can to keep resources at a minimum. You know what I mean?
I just wish I could have gone to a bunch of producers and like vaguely explained Resident Evil, and they went, yeah, that sounds good, and then presented them with this, and they go, yeah, that looks solid, that sounds like what you pitched us. Because that's like the only thing I can imagine, like, oh yeah, there's a crazy guy and he's really eccentric, and there's zombies and there's humor and all this other stuff, and then like it's literally like a 60-year-old's understanding of Resident Evil, which is like kind of endearing in a weird way. I don't know. Like, it's so... Everything is so fucking weird. The characters are so weird. Oh, God.
Yeah. Can I also just say, too, that the main, like, two characters, they're really forgettable. I honestly didn't remember the character's name until somebody brought it up, so...
Yep.
Yeah, Dark Vegan and Forspoken. That's the only names you need to care about.
But yeah, unless if anybody else has anything to say on this subject, I could definitely have somebody else read off number 4.
Yeah, I can brief what I feel about it. The characters did not resonate at all with anyone I know, let alone me. And some of the shit they did was extremely silly. Like, you would rarely find someone in real life that would do that. And considering how keen they were on referencing, you know, real life, like our current universe, I don't know, you at least keep shit accurate to what people actually do. But I don't know. I got nothing good to say. Just move on. Just move on.
What do you mean, Aaron? Wouldn't you break into a high security place for a rabbit?
Hey.
for a rabbit
Bro.
just to pull a 28 days later.
Just go. Read the 4.
All right,
Go.
James, go on ahead and read off number 4 here for us.
How well did Lance Reddick portray Albert Wesker? Weirdly well, in some respects. It's not really accurate to literally Albert Wesker himself. It's more of that he was just a competent actor in general, and I didn't mind his weird, performance, I guess.
Yeah, truthfully told though, if it was just only Lance Reddick as the quote unquote main character, the show also would have been 1,000 times better because he was literally carrying this fucking show. Honest to God, because when it was just him doing stuff, it was actually interesting. Because for one, Lance Reddick's actually a good actor. Well, I mean, there's disrespect to the other actors though, because they were doing their job. But Lance Reddick kept things more interesting just with his charisma with the character. Now, granted though, it's not Albert Wesker literally, because there's nothing I like from the original source material. But given what was shown here, he honestly nailed it. Like, he was the most interesting thing about the show.
I would say I agree with that, but it also kind of makes me wish that because I think I mentioned this to Divic in private, that I feel like the show should have been about the Wesker Children Project or Project W, where
Exactly, he did for different reasons.
yeah, but not that kind of project, right? But yeah, I just feel like if it was more a thing of hey, here are a bunch of these different Weskers, right? And they were all different people that were just having that name essentially, right? That would have made way more sense for a show to do show the experimentations that happened with that. And I think you could have done an awesome sort of body horror type of show based off of Resident Evil, based off of those experiments, because we've never gotten anything like that before, right? And I feel like that would have made way more sense in context. But instead we got this where it's okay, well, here's Lance Reddick, not necessarily a bad actor, not necessarily fitting the role for the character that he was supposed to play, but clearly carrying the show with all the different roles that he's playing, because he's playing more than one Wesker, including Blade Wesker, which is the funniest one in my opinion.
What do you mean? It was obviously Wesley Snipes. He's back.
Clearly.
I just like that all the clones are bald and somehow because the Blade one's the actual Wesker, right, for the show.
Yeah.
How does man got Rogaine?
Listen, the aging process that he did just made everybody else bald faster, so shut up.
So it's so ridiculous. I did legit laugh at that.
So, all right, so I love Lance Reddick. Big fan of The Wire. His portrayal of Wesker is hysterical because it's like someone who saw a picture of Wesker on Google Images, or saw maybe a clip from Resident Evil 5. I was yeah, okay, I can do that. And so he does it. So he's he's doing Blade basically, which is fantastic. And then the clones all having different kind of personalities is really great. The scene where he is in the Olive Garden to the end of the series, where we're mostly, because you've got Albert, who's the regular, the most balanced clone or whatever. There's Albie, who gets shot in the face, who we hear 5 lines from, which sucks. And then there's Bert, who's a retard, basically. He's really smart, but he's really kind of off kilter. He's listening to turd rap at the beginning, and he's got a beard, and he's making a shrimp curry burrito. So we already know exactly what this character is. And he's obsessing over the breadsticks. And he's speeding around in a car, and he constantly gives thumbs up. That fight scene with Bert and the Umbrella security is so goddamn funny, and it's so serious. and he's like shown as like, oh crap, maybe he has the same kind of power, you know, somewhat of residual power level or something like that from like Wesker. And then he gets handcuffed to a door and he says, "I don't like you. You're mean to me, like a child." And starts and you can hear him tugging in the background the whole time and going, "Ugh." Dude, I was like on my fucking floor. Like I thought I was having a fever dream. Like I could not process what was going on. It was incredible. The standard Wesker character is pretty funny because he's just so it's just Lance Reddick doing Lance Reddick. But that fucking Burt character is so good. And now, with everything that happened in the ending, and now we have Burt on season 2, so the girls will be hanging out with their crazy uncle. So the possibility for more terrible dialogue and great like hamming it up from him is like even higher. I'm all for it.
Can we also point out the fact that they were going to try to have him work on the Tyrant in the show before he decided to just leave with the kids?
Mm-hmm.
Which the Tyrant, that it's like, you know, I didn't mind the Tyrant being there. I actually thought it was kind of cool that they had like the oxygen like tube going through its mouth or whatever, because that made like sense to me. But it was like kind of underwhelming that it was just used to hint at the fact that it was still alive after bursting through some rubble.
Wait, you mean they weren't giving you ice cream?
Yes.
We're giving them ice cream out, Bird. It's fine. Oh, you mean Rocky Road?
Yeah. That
dude,
like,
dude, he was having so much fun. Like, come on. When he was acting across from himself, doing 4 different roles, that dude was having a fucking ball.
Yeah, and it's kind of like I think James, you brought this up too, where it was like, oh well, you know, he probably looked at the script, or maybe it was somebody else. So forgive me if I got this wrong, but like he probably looked at the script and was like, oh shit, well like I guess I'm gonna have to carry this entire show.
Well, James is not here, but he did say that because Wesker did kind of carry a lot of the parts of the show.
Yeah, he's easily like the best written part and just the general best part of the show. Like if you're looking at it strictly from a normal person's perspective and not my like crazy I love watching a train wreck perspective, he's like the best part of the show because he's like he's good at what he does, and Lance Reddick is very professional. I mean, he knows what he's doing, and the dude knows how to be serious and the dude knows how to be goofy, and he's really good at both of them.
And I think the perfect part for that was like initially, and I think it was still in the first episode. Like you see him, he's pretty bland. Like you know he's Albert because you know you've seen the headlines and all that. But like as soon as he goes into the school and talks to the principal, that's when you're like, oh shit, this character is actually kind of dark because the way he flexes his power in front of the father of the girl and the principal was that was the start. I was like, oh shit, this character's great.
Yeah.
And it just keeps getting better and better after that.
Yeah, I agree, man. He's winning, flexing. Like, yeah, go ahead, try something. You won't love to see another day. Or working another day.
That was another Pornhub thing they referenced. It's like, I'll have Pornhub shred your resume. I think that's what he says. That was pretty funny. I had to rewind, do a double take, just to make sure I didn't hear shit.
You know, okay, so there is one other thing I will say about him in that where they're leaving the Olive Garden and he starts beating the shit out of the umbrella security guards or whatever, right? I don't know why, but I just like in the back of my mind, I kind of want to see Lance Reddick do like a action comedy movie where he's just beating the shit out of people and just having a good time while doing it. I don't know. I feel like that's what I want out of Lance Reddick moving forward. I don't want this shit.
Oh, I would love that. I mean, dude's got great comedic timing.
Yeah.
For anyone that hasn't seen the Eric Andre bit, it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
But I think we're good on this point, so why don't I have Brandon read off number 5 here.
I'm meeting motherfucker. Okay, hold on. Let's see. What's your opinion on the music choices used? Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you though. I don't mind the soundtrack itself. Because there's a lot of music that I listen to anyway, or I recognize, I like to listen to every now and then, stuff like that. It's whatever, right? Just where to place them or how much they use it in certain areas, like that kind of got on my nerves. Like it's to a point where I just want to skip through the freaking final parts of the episode just so we can move on to the next episode. Cause like certain songs, like you got this whole heartwarming, lovey-dovey song, and this literal depressing scene, like it doesn't fit at all.
Well,
but yeah, like for the music itself though, I don't care. But the choices they put them in, like that's what I have a problem with.
And the music has the opposite effect as well. Like there are scenes where, and again, this is one of the reasons why I was like, this is like a CW tier show, is because like what the CW will do a lot with their editing is they'll have like something happen to a character and a song will come on, and they'll always choose a song that sounds like the words are like whatever the character is doing on screen basically, and describes basically what's going on. Like the last scene where she gets shot, you know, she's like, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. I was a sailor. I was drowning, all this kind of shit. She had just gotten pulled out of the ocean. She got shot in the stomach and she's like reeling, trying to get up and get her daughter and all that. It's like, it's so fucking corny because it's like describing the scene as you're watching it. And it's so on the nose that it's just like unbelievably funny.
You know what's sad? It was done better in Sonic Adventure.
Like I was flabbergasted at some of the fucking songs they used because they were so like on point. Like, just, I mean, none of you are gonna watch Vampire Diaries, but like pull a random bit of Vampire Diaries up and it does the same fucking thing. Or any CW show does that, and it was so funny that the show was doing that every goddamn time. It made me laugh.
And they do it at the beginning and end of every episode. It's like, there we go.
I think like because it was strange music to have in the show. Not personally some music that I would listen to or choose for a scene like for any of the scenes really that they used those tracks for. Honestly, I kind of felt like it was like the directors just wanted to make a music video, or that's all they knew how to do is just make music videos as opposed to actual like TV shows. That's what it kind of felt like to me, at least. But I don't know if any of you felt that way as well.
Nah. That's just funny.
It was bad, corny, out of place, and funny.
It'd be some shit, though, if one director for the episodes was actually a music video director. Because that would be like, that makes sense now.
Okay, and I don't know if anybody else has anything to say on this, because there's really not much you can say on it, I guess.
Actually, you know what it was? I think it was just the anime outro. That's why they did it. Oh, episode's ending. Have the outro. They were just missing the credits at the time.
Except that the anime outro is different every episode.
Yeah, they obviously they put budget on it. They created a new outro for it every time. High quality shit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I could read off number 6 here then. Did you like the overall character dialogue? Aside from Lance Reddick, not really, no.
We kind of, I feel like the question was a little dumb now that I thought about it, because I'm like, we kind of went through it.
Yeah, well, we were
not really.
Shit.
It's all,
like, no.
we could gloss over it. It was cringy and stupid and just funny to laugh at best.
You didn't like the 4chan line that like had me laughing for pretty long.
Didn't even remember that. There's so many dumb lines.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, she says something like the only people that believe this guy. I think they're talking about Angel, and they're like, the only people that believe this guy are virgins and conspiracy theorists on 4chan, which surprisingly overlap. Blah blah blah. Or like there's a line about she's talking about joy, and she's like, it helps people relieve stress, and chronic masturbators, and then she like holds up her hand and does like a little fingering motion. I was like, what? It's amazing.
Nobody would do this.
It's
like, not a real thing.
And that's what, like, it doesn't feel, it feels like a script almost written by aliens based on like observing people and like, oh yeah, people totally do this, and like wrote a script and made a show around it. It's
And
like,
then those aliens were on the internet for a week and like, look at all these memes. This seems to be what people do.
it's so fucking funny. I'm surprised nobody pulled up their phone and was looking at like hot Doge memes or something.
No, I'm glad you mentioned Angel, or whatever his name was, because he was literally just Ben from RE2 as a stand-in, which they did that a lot. Either the characters' names they just throw out as reference,
That's
but not actually the characters, or the characters that add like another character, just a different name. Like you guys keep mentioning that the main antagonist, I don't remember her name is. Okay, it's like pretty much Excella, which is you're not wrong, but she was her name is Evelyn Marcus. She was related to
Yeah.
one of Marcus.
Yeah,
right?
I said that. I was like, yo, why does she just like feel like an Excella like stand-in type of character? Like she's a businesswoman. She's on Wesker's dick half the time. It's like, yeah, it's Excella, all right.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up too, Brendan. Because like, you know, they had like Carlos and Barry, right? But they weren't Carlos Oliveira and Barry Burton. They were just people named after those characters, and it's like, was this supposed to be like a nod to those characters, or did they just kind of pick random names out of a hat and not thinking that anybody would think that, or what was it? Because it was weird.
Hey man, we read the Wikipedia for like 10 minutes. Give us our props.
Listen, and here's the thing too, is they reference Resident Evil 5 pretty directly at a point in this. So like at least the events of Resident Evil 5 have happened.
He died in a volcano.
Because they mentioned that he died in a volcano, so there is a potentially really ripped Asian Chris and a white Sheva out there.
Okay. Okay. That's one way to put it. Sure.
Hey,
And we're in opposites land now. Chris and Clara Asian.
Season 2, you know, dude that looks like Kim Jong-un's gonna show up and you're like, yeah, I'm Chris Redfield. And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, you see that guy? I beat him. I kicked that ass. Oh, you're fucking silly, bro.
I hope in season 2, if Chris shows up somehow, they make a Boulder reference.
You know,
Of course they
Boulder
will.
punching.
If they're making Master of Unlocking references and fucking Moonlight Sonata to literally it's Moonlight Sonata to unlock a hidden door. This is just straight up.
That one was
Yo.
the most on the nose, probably.
That made me laugh so fucking hard, man.
Okay, that episode where they were like doing some stuff around the house, trying to like get through like doors or whatever. That generally felt like very Resident Evil, just the simple fact that they're actually doing a puzzle to unlock something stupid. I wish they tried more of that, where they actually investigate areas to unlock something.
That was one of the last episodes, too. So episode 3 and that episode were the only times the show actually felt Resident Evil-ish.
Yep. Like, that actually got me a little excited, because like, oh shit, they're actually doing mysteries and stuff, like Scooby-Doo. Like, I want to see more of this.
It's like the whole show should have been like that.
Oh man, you're funny, James. You bugging. Shut up.
That would take good writing. You're right.
Shut up, bitch. Alright, I guess we can move on to the next question, Dom. Maybe good.
Alrighty. Do you want to go ahead and read off number 7, Arian?
Number 7. It is, how do you feel about the quality of the CGI in-screen usage throughout the show?
Gee.
Initially, it was really bad from what I told. Like, the backgrounds, they were really obvious and on the nose.
Yeah.
Later on, it got better. Like, I think, especially for some of the BOWs, they were actually decent. I didn't mind it.
Yeah, the BOWs were fine. There's just like the background
Ain't
issue.
Ain't that weird? You'd think it'd be the monsters that were the ones that you have to struggle with more, but no, they actually did pretty good with the monsters and the whatever. What was it? New Raccoon City? What did they call it? Where they were staying?
Yeah.
That looked bad. There's like every time they have dialogue, they always dip the field out, the backgrounds. I'm like, I can't imagine why. It's like they knew they screwed that up.
Well, and some of the scenes they didn't even do that. Like there's literally like scenes where they're just sitting in front of their house and it's like obvious green screen down the street and it's like, well, why did you even need to green screen that? Like it just looked weird. I I would argue that the CG wasn't necessarily bad, but the overabundant use of green screen, which is a similar problem that I had with Welcome to Raccoon City, that was very apparent. In fact, I would argue that in this show it was maybe slightly better than Raccoon City, only because Raccoon City had it way more abundantly in that movie as opposed to this show. Whereas this show kind of had more of like that blur, like you mentioned, which was kind of obscuring that. But once you really notice that, it's kind of hard not to notice it at that point.
Yeah.
As far as like, if they had to compromise backgrounds just to make them like monsters and the zombies look better, I'm fine with that. I'll take that compromise. Because at the end of the day, I don't give a shit about the background, right? I want the shit that's gonna like kill people looking good. So, whatever. Fuck the background in this case. But doesn't hurt to make both of them look good. So, that's that.
Yeah.
I think just disguising, if you had low quality, there are ways to disguise stuff a little better than I just depth of field out everything.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's done right.
Yep.
Divic?
The CGI was cheap, which is kind of expected for this show, and just kind of with Netflix's budgetary problems, just in general. And when the first red flag is when they said this was going to be a family drama, which made me all the more interested to watch it because just so many reasons. To be fair, all right, and here's a red hot take. The story for Resident Evil has never really been good. It's just the way it's kind of told and how they commit to how goofy it is, like in the games, which makes it great. And then this takes that and completely doesn't understand that second half and just makes something really fucking goofy. And just across the board. I just need to get that out. CGI is, when it's in shadow, it looks good. Like, the web spinners look great, actually, up until you can see the web spinner in the light. And hunters look really good. And that's, like, it. The dog looks really bad. The dog is, like, sliding across the ground at a point. And there's a lot of repetition with a lot of the CGI zombies kind of in the end, but that's nitpicky more than anything. So, like, it services the quality of the show, is probably what I'll say.
You said hunters. Did you mean liquor?
Liquors, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like thinking, like, are you sure?
I was hoping the whole time. I was like, please just have a hunter show up and have it be this stupid frog one from Resident Evil 3. Like, just give me a dumb hunter. Like, that's all I need for this show now. Sadly, I didn't get it.
Yeah, you're right. Those are the hunters, which they were the first enemies. So surely you should beat them first.
Weird monster.
Imagine them being super tanky and beefy, like really big. Like that would been nice. Well, can't have nice things here.
I'm kind of surprised.
Like imagine if they just looked like the Ninja Turtles from Steven Spielberg's movie.
God,
just big, just massive.
Yeah, massive fucking beasts. Like, that would have been nice.
Alrighty then. Yeah, because I don't. Yeah, like I think the monsters looked serviceable for the most part. There's really not like. I think I had more so of the issue of like this overabundant use of like green screen that was like very obvious and in places where it was just never necessary to use it. So I thought that just made that show look even worse. And also too, because since you brought this up earlier, James, since they kept blurring out everything, there's a scene towards the end where the main character is holding out a obvious airsoft replica, and they're really trying to hide the fact that it is an airsoft gun and not a real live gun that's a prop. So that looked really bad. There's really weird use of like blurring in that show as well.
Yeah, perfectly normal to me. What are you talking about?
Obviously. Well, anyway, I think we can move on to number 8. So why don't I have Divic read off number 8 here?
Gladly. How do you feel about the inclusion of canonical events from the Resident Evil games, or at least Resident Evil 1 through 5?
It didn't help the show at all. It really didn't. It created more problems, if you ask me. They should have just went the innocent route and said, like, this is a wholly unique universe dedicated towards Wesker, and that's it. That would have been more acceptable than them just saying that everything is canon, quote unquote.
Yeah, because on that regard, like I agree. I feel like they should have never said that. If they were just gonna say, "Hey, we're gonna like have things that like fans will recognize from the games," I think that would have been way better to say than say like, "Oh yeah, like the things that happen in the games are canon to our universe," but then after a certain point, we kind of deviate and do our own thing. The problem that I have with that is like, okay, if that's the case, then this show heavily conflicts with everything that happens in the games, from which the point that this show decides to take place in, right? And I'm talking from the events of like Raccoon City, as small as they were referenced, to the fact that Umbrella's still around, to the fact that, you know, there are Wesker clones running around, things like that. It's like, why even say that if the game itself, or I'm sorry, the show itself, right, has very, very, very little to do with anything involved in the games.
Well, you know what this means, though. They have to make the games like kind of revolve around the movie now, or the shows, because everything's canon, right? Ooh.
Yeah, I can't wait to run into Olive Garden to get my green herbs.
I would find that actually impressive considering how convoluted Resident Evil is already.
Resident Evil 7 gets a new DLC, and all it does is replace Redfield with Jade.
I'm Jade.
It doesn't change the voice, it just changes the character model.
I'm Jade Field. Oh,
I remember there was like I think it was like a joke going around that people were saying like, oh, RE6 is gonna have like DLC for Mila Jovovich's character from the Paul W.S. Anderson movies.
yeah, that was a hot rumor for a while.
Which, you know, admittedly, like, as stupid as that sounds, I don't think I would have minded as much, because that's like another character to play as, or like, you know, if you're playing on PC, another mod slot, right?
Well, here's the thing though, like, I wouldn't have a problem with it for the simple fact that it's not gonna be the same character. Like, if Capcom takes that character though, they're gonna just change it to what fits their criteria for the character, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not against them adding characters from outside of their verse, like from like their show, the Raccoon City movie, or whatever else they have Resident Evil related, because they're gonna change it up anyway. So I'm not against that idea.
Well, and you know, in that, like, with that in mind, right? Like, they did technically retcon the laser room into the Chronicles games from the Paul W.S. Anderson movies, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not too far-fetched to think that like, you know, like, any of the characters from the show could end up in the games, right, in the future.
Well, more importantly, though, the Red and White Queen were, you know, retconned in from the Anderson movies. So, like, you know, again, another example of them taking what's there and just changing the context around it.
Yeah.
All right. What question are you on again?
We're on number 8.
Oh. Yeah. It didn't have to show at all. TLDR.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anybody else have anything to say on number 8?
No.
I think occasionally calling back to the game is fucking hysterical. Because it doesn't do anything to the story, except we know that regular Wesker's dead, and that this takes place all in the same universe as that, and everybody else thinks that Raccoon City got nuked, and it was a big, you know, gas explosion and all that kind of shit. So it had like a couple of funny moments, but that's really it. Yeah, nothing. Yep. Didn't add shit.
Alrighty. Anybody want to take on number 9 then?
No.
I'll do it.
No, you don't.
You're right. Do you think Resident Evil will get a second season with the reception it's gotten from the fans?
Got
The
it.
thing is,
know-
if this is like a CW to your show, how many times does CW go ahead with shit, even though it's garbage anyway?
Well, I'm gonna be frank here with Netflix though. They did cancel Cowboy Bebop, and that wasn't done too far. So there might be hope. Might be hope. But I'll say if it does get 6th season, I will watch it. Because why not?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm invested now.
We are pretty
Basically.
invested.
I hope it does because you look at some of the shows that get greenlit and have shit going for them. I want to see more like a David Cage tier writing. Like I cannot get enough of this kind of shit. I have watched so much trash over the course of my life because I revel in really poorly produced like movies that like somebody put a really conscious effort into making, and this falls like squarely in that category. So I want to see like the tyrant stalking them and he's like dressed as a FedEx driver or whatever shit they come up with.
With this big ass hand?
Or you know what? Fucking Bert gets a job at Pornhub because for some reason that residual memory exists, so he's like a server admin at Pornhub for season 2. Like, give me that shit. Give me weird. I want this weird, incompetent shit. It's amazing.
I'm genuinely trying to picture the tyrant walking up as an Amazon driver. Your package has been delivered, sir.
Yeah, they just like look and there's like really tense music and his fucking claws are like through the package, just like that's what's holding it. Like just dumb shit like that.
Ugh. Personally, I genuinely hope they don't do a second season. But granted, as James, you pointed out, that if it's like CW, right, there's that possibility it may get a second season. It might even go on to like a 3rd and 4th season. I hope it doesn't, but that's something that we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. So best case scenario, at least in my opinion, is that it gets canceled. Worst case scenario, it gets a second season. On the flip side, right, a second season could fix all the problems that this first season had, right? You never know.
Have you ever seen or heard of a show called Riverdale?
No.
So Riverdale
I have.
Riverdale is about the Archie universe. Like you've got Archie and Betty and Veronica and all those characters from the Archie comics and shit. And the first season is a very stereotypical teen drama. And then the second season starts and there's cults and there's secret societies and there's like Archie goes to prison and he's in like a prison fight club arc. The most recent season, Archie has gotten superpowers. There's like cult vampires and shit. Like that's the I want them to like just turn it up to 1,000 and just say, let's see how fucked up we can make this and just make it crazy. Because that to me is like Riverdale is like one of the best things I've watched because it's so off the fucking rails. Like, and that's what I want. This show was starting to go so hard off the rails. Like, just keep it going. Just plow the train through the elementary school. Fuck it. I mean, you're already going that fast. If you break, you're going to kill half the kids. You might as well just keep going.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and there's a gas station behind it. You're probably going to blow it up. Just fuck it. Just go through it. The explosion will kill all of us if you don't just speed through.
So Resident Evil 2?
Yeah, just go nuts. Go absolutely nuts with it. The truck driver in Resident Evil 2 didn't go fast enough. He should have plowed through half the goddamn city.
It's because he stopped.
That's what this show needs to do. It needs to plow through the fucking city.
Oh, jeez.
We should at that point we should be in Megazords by the end of the show.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm expecting Mechs season 2. Everybody's gonna have their own fucking Gundam. Even zombies, right?
Okay.
We're gonna turn this more into Jurassic Park. We're gonna have these big BOWs, and it's just gonna be Jurassic Park, okay? With
Dude,
mechs.
listen, remote-controlled dinosaur BOWs that got cloned in a lab, and they're gonna have little pods on their tummy that you can like get into and actually like control them. Like you're gonna hook them up to your body through like a matrix port in the back of your neck, and you're gonna grab these handles and you're gonna be able to control them. Like do it. Whoever listens to this, fucking do it, please. Give them the funding.
God, man, I'm, at that point, it's like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna give them the idea for Dino Crisis, so I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut.
And like, to be fair, half of like a portion of the enjoyment I get is seeing people online who, and I love Resident Evil dearly. I grew up with it. It's super formative media, but I don't take Resident Evil very seriously, like plot wise. So I kind of poke fun at it here and there. So seeing a show like this, which people can completely ignore, upset people to this degree is like part of why this is so funny. Because you could just turn it off, just don't watch it, or just don't take it seriously. And then the fact that just nobody on the set seems to understand Resident Evil at all is just like super fucking funny. It's just like a funny cake, and I'm just eating and I'm growing fat off of it. It's amazing.
Well, I'm gonna be fair here though. Like, let's say there's any other IP that I deeply care about. If that IP got this same treatment for Resident Evil, though, I would actually be pretty damn upset too. Because this is not something I would expect out of this IP. We expect better.
I agree with that definitely, and it's also this element of, I don't think you could make a Resident Evil movie or show that would appeal to like Resident Evil fans, because you're taking a lot of, granted, 70% of a game is input and control that you're putting into it, and you're taking that element away, so you're kind of left with everything else. If you made a Death Stranding movie, for example, and I love Death Stranding to death, haha, it would be a dude walking around talking to a fetus on his chest for like 3 hours. Like, that does not sound entertaining to me. It would be accurate, but it sounds terrible. What I would want is the fetus to turn into a giant robo baby and then go into somebody's dreams and pull their eyeballs out, or whatever crazy shit you can come up with. Just do something weird.
So I'm kind of with Brandon on this one, in that like, I agree. If you were gonna do like an IP, whether it's a show or a movie, right, off of a well-known franchise, that there should be some form of effort to try to make it good. Granted, I do agree that, like, hey, with like a show or a movie, right, there are going to be liberties taken, right? That makes sense. Because they're gonna have to change things to make it work for viewing purposes. Because, like you mentioned, like, you're not interacting with that, or like in the case of Resident Evil, especially like the first few, right? There's a lot of notes. A lot of the story is given to you in notes. It's not given to you directly in cutscenes. So a lot of that has to be adapted in a way to where it makes sense from a a viewer standpoint, right? So I think, like, I don't think it would necessarily be hard to do a Resident Evil movie or show. I just think that a lot of the people that get a hold of Resident Evil don't really understand what Resident Evil is about and how to adapt it in a way that it would work very well. Because, mind you, we lost things like the George A. Romero movie that has a script written for it, but, we never got that movie. And then also Arclay.
Arclay, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, we lost stuff like that in favor of, like, the Paul W. Sanderson movies and this new Resident Evil series. I guess I guess the silver lining here, too, because I almost forgot to mention this earlier, is that, like, we did get the Infinite Darkness 4-part series, so maybe, like, we possibly could get, like, a continuation of that on top of this, so that wouldn't be so bad. But, like, still really thinking about that, it's just like, I think Capcom should stick more towards only CG based content for Resident Evil as opposed to live action stuff, because evidently people in Hollywood do not understand how to adapt Resident Evil.
Well, and it's
That's the issue. Like the live action so far has never worked. The closest thing they tried to beat to the source material was literally Welcome to Raccoon City, and it still managed to fuck that up.
And I mean,
The characterization was just off.
and part of it is definitely that, and I feel for people that are like really invested in it, but part of it is also like this. I don't know. I wish in some cases people didn't take like the media that they love like near and dear to their heart like as like scripture almost. Like I'm a huge fan of Silent Hill. Love Silent Hill to death. I really like that first movie, not because it's accurate in any way, but it really tries to kind of capture that feeling of Silent Hill. And I'm not saying
Most
that
people
this,
can agree with that.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
saying
do.
this
I do
show-
like the first movie as well.
This show is not trying to capture the mood of anything. The second Silent Hill movie, by the way, is incredibly funny. I know this show captures some of those moments, so I can give them a little bit of credit where credit's due. A broken clock is right, twice a day. But they're also trying to make a teen drama out of a horror series that's 25 or 20 some odd years old at this point. So I kind of can't fault them completely. That being said, even with all that, it's such a surface level view of anything Resident Evil-esque, and they said, "Fuck it, let's just slap a team drama and Resident Evil, just do it." And so I can look at that because I know that I don't feel like it's a valiant effort to make a Resident Evil movie or a Resident Evil show. I can look at that and I can giggle. But that's me. That's a weird personality. I'm sure if this happened with Metal Gear Solid, I would be like peeing and crying everywhere.
That's supposed to be getting a movie. We just haven't heard shit about it yet.
I look forward to it being absolutely terrible. I look forward to Channing Tatum going, "Kept you waiting, huh?" I am so down.
I think it'd be easy to make a movie on a game that acts like a movie, but probably not.
I'm waiting
I
for them to
mean-
fuck it up.
Just get Kojima in there, get Kojima and give him like $200 million and say, "Hey, make a movie." It would be, dude, it would be crazy. It would be actual insanity.
Oh, that'd be like a
Konami
4-hour
would come
movie.
in. No, Konami would literally come in and veto the fuck out of that.
That's true, but I mean,
They wouldn't give him money to finish MGS5. I don't think they'd give it to him for a movie.
Well, no, it wouldn't be them that give him the money. It would be the studio making the movie. So there's that. But
just watching his independent effort with like Death Stranding is, my brain is on fire watching it. I'm like, I feel like I'm hallucinating 90% of the time. It's great. So I want to see the
I mean,
movie.
don't you already?
I mean, fair. But yeah, I don't know. I think people in some ways should stop taking Resident Evil so seriously, like, and don't be offended by the show, because the show is like, it's its thing. You can ignore it, but at the same time, I get the sentiment of like, as someone who loves Resident Evil near and dear, that making something like this makes me go like, there is a small part of me that just goes, oh, why? So I get it.
Anyway, yeah, did anybody else have anything to say before we wrap things up today?
Fuck no.
Honestly, the only thing I can say is that I hope they make a season 2 just so I can watch that shit with you guys again.
You just want me to suffer. That's what you want.
I want to say,
We had
pull me
fun.
in,
It was fun.
because-
Even if you laugh
Yeah,
at
I
the bad stuff. Fun.
because
Yeah,
I was
admittedly, I
laughing-
look back at that fondly.
I was laughing so goddamn hard, and if I knew you guys were having a watch party, I would have loved to fucking watch that with you dudes.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, you know
We
what?
kind of just spurred on us in like 5 seconds. Or like, we'll just do it. Didn't really think about it. Just loaded it up and watched it.
Literally
Season 2 watch party will happen.
binge watched it in the middle of the morning. Didn't go to sleep till like 4 in the morning my time. Yeah.
Jesus.
Dude, I like blanked out halfway through like the last episode, and I woke up again, and like 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh, why is she dancing?
Listen,
Yeah.
What the fuck? Are we? Are we?
You listen to it, James.
Yeah, I was like half awake at that point. I was like, are we watching this still? Like, did we change the channel?
the emotional whiplash of I just got out of the prison cell to fat guy John Wick fight to her having a chainsaw and them having like a dude with a bag over his head with a chainsaw. Like somebody saw a promotional screenshot for RE4 and went, oh shit, put that in. And then with the goofy music and then the hand grenade, like that whole sequence is just like, I was so committed at that point. Like it was just, I'm gonna watch it again. Like, I'm sorry, I have to watch this again because I can't believe half the shit that I fucking saw.
You could make a drinking game out of this show.
You'd be dead by the end of the second episode. Like,
Worth
you'd have
it.
alcohol
Fucking
coming in.
worth it, okay?
As I say, I think Dom's goal is to die.
If you make a TikTok meme of this and teenagers start playing the Resident Evil drinking game, you're gonna get like all these reports of EMTs coming in to kids dead on the floor watching Resident Evil.
Hey, I didn't condone them drinking under the age, okay?
You're
So,
gonna create the new Slender Man, though.
hey, I didn't condone shit, okay? All I'm just saying is that you can make a drinking game out of this shitty fucking show. Anyway, before we diverge into drinking games and all this other stuff, why don't we go ahead and just share any final thoughts and then do outros here. So anybody want to say any last bit here before we go ahead and outro ourselves?
Yeah, can we leave already?
What the fuck?
Well, alrighty then. So I guess we could do outros. Brandon, where can we find you?
You can find Arian and answer this question real quick.
What?
Were you gonna answer the question?
You know what? Hold on, let me just call out your like address.
Alright.
So they can actually find you.
I've got your IP. I've got it right here.
Alright, Donald
This you?
Trump.
And just like that, Dom's got us demonetized. Good job.
Hey, I don't get monetized anyways, so
And now
But
you
I
never.
tell you won't.
And now you never will.
YouTube is gonna be like, are you the one that talked about Donald Trump and kids dying from drinking?
maybe. Who's asking? But yeah, Brandon, where can we find you?
Twitter, the streets, yeah, you name it. ImmortalBrandel, Everlink Train, yada yada yada.
Okay. Wow.
Alright, Aaron, where can we find you?
Honestly, nowhere. Leave me alone.
In the
YouTube,
vault.
though, come on.
I exposed his house.
You can go to my YouTube though, Dark Angel.
Alrighty. Up next, we got James. Where can we find you?
Not here. On Twitter. Sometimes.
On rare occasions, right?
DevilHunterJames.
Yep. And then Divic, where can we find you?
You can find me at Divic and also hashtag Team Billy, I think. Yeah, we're doing that, right? Yeah? Team Billy, anyone?
Not-
Anybody?
Not fuck Darth Vegan, bro. No.
Team Darth
Look,
Team Wesker.
look. I will say this. I didn't have anything against vegans, but that show made me really question, what it really means to be a vegan.
But Dom, they have kombucha on tap.
The fuck's that you mean?
Gesundheit.
It means
Like,
they
what do you
have-
want me to say to that?
That means they have like what you would have at a bar, like to get beer, except it's kombucha.
So vegan beer?
It's like a mushroom. It's like a fermented like fungus you put in water or something like that. Mix
That's
it.
all I need.
It tastes
Gross.
like gross wine. It's pretty bad.
You're really not selling me on this idea.
I do not want to tell you on it because it's a fermented piece of fungus that tastes bad.
No, man, there'll be cordyceps up in that bitch, man.
Just increasing the anarchy in me.
I mean, hey, if you want kombucha, that's fine. I'm a stickler for LaCroix. This podcast brought to you by LaCroix. I'm kidding. Don't do that.
Alrighty.
It's sponsored.
You guys can find me as BioDevil_Dom on YouTube if you're already watching this here, but also on Twitter. Like I said before in the beginning of this podcast, this is actually going to be my last one for quite a while. While I'm gone, Brandon, Chaos, and Gamma Elias will be taking over and hosting some podcasts whenever they have something in the works. And they'll be uploading on my channel until I have everything back up and running after my move. However long that is, I don't know. So until I am back, you'll be hearing a lot more of Brandon, Chaos, or Gamma. But yeah, that being said, I hope you all enjoyed today's podcast, and we'll see you all in the next one.
We've been sponsored by Zootopia Porn on Pornhub by Elon Musk.